My dear friends and family of Rotary, as Rotary members, we are people of action. And we have proven time and time again that when we commit to something bold and audacious, we achieve it. And if Rotary is to continue creating lasting impact, we must grow.
To reach the level of growth our world needs, we've set an ambitious goal: 1.25 million Rotarians and more than 125,000 Rotaractors by 2030, when we celebrate Rotary's 125th anniversary. That goal is more than numbers. It's our ability to expand service, deepen our impact, reach more communities around the world, and change the lives of those who will join us, just as our lives have been changed. Each region has a membership target that serves as a roadmap to help us get there.
And those regional membership targets are based on individual, club, and district goals. Each club that increases its membership contributes, and every district that charters a new club plays a role. Growing Rotary is our shared responsibility. You can help turn those targets into reality by guiding conversations, supporting clubs, and keeping the focus on what matters most.
You can help us spread our message with other members of Rotary and Rotaract. Then members can share their Rotary stories with the world. When Rotary tells its story clearly and consistently, people understand why our work matters. When they understand, they are more likely to join. And when they feel like they belong, they stay, they grow, and they bring others with them. That is how sustainable membership growth happens. And that is how we'll meet our regional targets together.
This is our challenge to you. Do better than your best. Look at what your club or district has achieved in the last 5 to 7 years. Find your best year for membership growth and retention. Then set out to surpass it. Not to compete with others, but to become the best version of yourselves.
This is not about one strong year. It's about building momentum that continues. When we align our efforts and collaborate, progress doesn't reset each year. It builds and strengthens. That continuity allows Rotary to grow with purpose and to sustain that growth over time.
So, my dear friends, whatever your role is in Rotary, be intentional and strategic, because growing Rotary is how we create lasting impact. Membership is not about numbers. It is about people. People who will carry Rotary forward, expand our reach, and strengthen our ability to serve long after our time as leaders is over.
By meeting and exceeding these goals, we will be a Rotary that is stronger, more connected, and better prepared for the future. That's what this work is about.
My dear friends, the future of Rotary is in your hands.
Thank you for your commitment
and for the leadership you bring to help achieve our latest audacious goal.
Now, let's grow Rotary together.
Good evening and welcome to the August Rotary Membership Action Plan webinar, 4 Pillars of Membership Success. Next up, is he live? Is he Memorex? Is he AI? Well, only you can determine. It's our Rotary International Director, Marshall Butler. Marshall, the stage is yours, sir.
Well, thank you, Andy. And you definitely have to ask that question nowadays. You don't know if it's me or if it's an AI avatar, but I can assure you it's me tonight, the live Marshall Butler. And good evening, everyone. As we continue working towards our goal of 1.25 million Rotary members and 125,000 Rotaractors by 2030, we have to remember that membership growth does not just happen. It takes a plan. It takes consistency. And most importantly, it takes intentional action. We often talk about membership in terms of numbers. How many members did we add? How many did we lose? Did we finish the year up or down? Those numbers matter, but they don't tell the whole story. Membership growth begins long before someone fills out an application, and our work certainly does not end when we hand them a Rotary pin as we induct them into Rotary. We have to think about how people first discover Rotary, what encourages them to learn more, how we welcome them into our clubs, and how we find them a place once they join. When we do all that well, we do more than add members. We build stronger clubs with people who feel welcomed, valued, and ready to get involved. Tonight, Sean Sawyer will share some practical strategies that clubs can begin using right now, along with resources that are already available to help. As you listen, think about your own club. What are you already doing well? Where is there an opportunity to improve? And what is one idea from tonight that you can take back and put into action? With that, I would like to take this moment to introduce our presenter for tonight, Sean Sawyer. Sean has served zones 33 and 34 in many capacities over the years, including as past district governor of Rotary 7545, assistant Rotary membership coordinator under the last two Rotary membership coordinators, and former chair of the Zone 33 Innovative Club Advocacy Initiative. His extensive service includes a 4-year run as a governor nominee and governor-elect learning seminar team leader, and twice serving as an International Assembly learning facilitator, and most recently, one of 2 individuals asked to facilitate and coach participants at Rotary headquarters for the inaugural Elevate Your Facilitation Skills seminar this past spring. He's a member of the North American Club Creation Team and was recently asked by previous Rotary International President Jennifer Jones to serve on the Polio Eradication Advocacy Task Force for the United States. He's also chair of the MAP Content and Format Committee and was once again selected by 2026-27 RI President Yinka Balbaloa to serve as the president's representative. Tonight, instead of what you're perhaps used to hearing from him from an innovative club advocate angle, Sean will revisit a few principles about traditional growth and membership from an existing club standpoint and focus on what we call the 4 pillars of membership success. Sean, the mic is all yours.
Marshall, thank you for that. Was an overly kind introduction, but as you clearly pointed out, we know that membership is important. And this evening, what I hope to do is specifically dive into what we've called those 4 pillars of membership, attraction, success. But before we get there, I want to do just a short bit of review. Membership, at least structurally, is made up from 2 major components. Attraction, those that we bring into our clubs, minus attrition, those who choose not to stay in our clubs. Now, mathematically, what this means is that we always want the attraction component to be larger than our attrition component. Otherwise, our net membership ends up in the negative. That makes perfect mathematical sense. But what we cannot just look at is that net membership number. In fact, Marshall, just as you reminded us, that we're not talking about sheer numbers. It's about giving members, keeping them, reasons to stay. So while math is involved, it's not just about math. We all know that losing less means keeping more. What it's really about is engagement and innovation. And for purposes of our conversation this evening, while we acknowledge there are 2 aspects of our membership equation, attraction and attrition, tonight what we want to focus on is attraction and save that attrition component for an upcoming MAP event. So while the recruiting efforts that we use, known as attraction, gives us our 3 fundamental stages of membership life cycle: attraction, onboarding and engagement, and minimizing attrition. This evening, we're only going to focus on the first one, talking about the 4 pillars of membership attraction success. And those are lead generation, attraction tactics, effective onboarding, and engagement. Now, I'm going to ask that we don't think about these sequentially, but rather as a system where we put our efforts into doing all of them at the same time, in part because we have people joining all the time at different times. That way, when we complete all 4 of these pillars effectively, we set the stage for overall success with membership. We set the expectations of our members whenever they join on their beginning and middle sections of their membership journey. And performing these with precision can help attract more members and reduce the amount of attrition. So let's jump into these 4 pillars. To help us with this, I want to reference the 10 intentional membership strategies that you can find at the Rotary Zones 3334.org website. And note that you will find the necessary links within this document that steer you toward other links with more information and also sharing the recipes. Now, one thing I would suggest is that you don't vary those recipes. Otherwise, it's very possible that you'll experience varied results. The recipes are tried and true, so it's shown to be in your best interest to follow them the way they're constructed. Let me also call attention to the fact that the title of this document has the word intentional in it. And Marshall, you mentioned that word as well. This means that it's something your club leadership and its members not only intend to do, but have to do. And they have to do it purposely if they're going to experience the success that we're discussing this evening. So let's start with lead generation and prospect identification. I'm not talking about the lead generation that Rotary International steers toward our districts and our clubs. That's a subject all on its own. What we're going to concentrate on here is generating leads within the club. We're identifying who can and should be members of our clubs. And again, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. This is not something that's done in isolation, but rather we're engaging all of our members in an exercise of who do we know and who are we missing. So to talk about lead generation, we start to bucket people into groups. Now, these buckets could be family, could be friends, coworkers, maybe missing professionals in our community, missing skills that are needed in our club, and even the previously lost members. And the way we start in my club is with an exercise. Now, this might seem remedial or even obvious, but consider having everybody pull out their smartphone and open their contacts list. If you go to the very bottom to see how many contacts each person has, you add up the quantity of everyone's contacts, so you get a very large view as to how many people we all know, likely in the thousands, if not the tens of thousands. But even if we used only 50% of that number because of duplicates or those that are out of market, we would still end up with a huge pool of prospects. And keep in mind that in many of our clubs, our membership roles don't even equate to 1% of the marketplace. So by using this tool, we have nowhere to go but up with new members. Then if you divide those people up into the 5 or 6 buckets we just talked about, you create a mechanism that will enable the club and its membership to reach out to all of these folks to start the attraction phase. And as you can see there on the screen, all of this covers those steps 1 and 2 of the 10 intentional strategies. Now you move on to the attraction phase. You've got your people identified. What is it that you do next? What we have found that works best is to hold regular Rotary Information Hour sessions during the year, also known as Discover Rotary. Some clubs do only one once a year. At the other end of the spectrum, there are a few that do it once a month. And while your particular community and its size and its demographics may have some bearing on the frequency with which you do these events, one thing is for sure, you won't have any of them unless you intentionally schedule them. So get these scheduled now on your club's calendar and then commit to them. And you don't have to do this alone in isolation. You can download the Discover Rotary, also known as the Rotary Information Hour, How It Works materials from the Zones website. There are separate map webinars about how to do these, which can also be found on the Zones YouTube channel. It also includes sample invitations, scripts, and even reverse calendars where you can see how far in advance you need to perform certain steps in preparation that lead up to the date of your event. But again, whatever formula you choose, They need to be run regularly and on an intentional basis. Running these Rotary information hours on average 2 to 4 times a year will yield your club many new members effectively and efficiently. And again, back to that document, there are other tactics and strategies covered in steps 3 through 6 found within that 10 intentional membership strategies document. Now, let's move to the next step, effective onboarding. This is a crucial step to your club's membership attraction methods. If you've listened so far and now you're committed to performing the first 2 steps, your club has just invested a lot of time and resources into gaining new members into your club. So what it's time to do now is set the expectations and also create the vision of what the membership will mean to the club, and perhaps more importantly, what the membership will mean to them, the individuals. So when you perform onboarding well, it can lead to more membership satisfaction and members who stay longer, as well as members that want to bring their friends and family to be part of your great club. You'll see on number 7 under onboarding new members in that intentional strategies document is a scavenger hunt. Maybe that sounds silly, but it's a fun way to help new members get indoctrinated within your club. And it's just one idea of many that you can do. Either way, performing an effective onboarding is just like providing someone with an orientation on their first day of work. If you're not familiar with the job, how else will you know how to do it? So during the onboarding process, it's not only important to cover the member responsibilities, it's just as important to provide a list of benefits to the new member. There are so many available tools, resources, and benefits to cover, but just to mention a few, there's Rotary Fellowships, which can be found at rotary.org/fellowships. There's Rotary Newsletters, which again, rotary.org/newsletters. And near and dear to me is Rotary Leadership Institute. RLI stands for Rotary Leadership Institute. What I wish it was called Rotary Learning Academy, but that's for another day. We do have data that demonstrates that new members who attend at least RLI 1 stay with us longer and become more engaged in the club, and also understand more about moving into the club, leadership, and beyond. So don't miss out on those valuable resources. Get new people assigned to committees on day 1. You can assign a new member a mentor or a member buddy, some clubs call them. But what you're doing is finding out what excites that new member, and you ask them 2 questions. What do you want to get from Rotary, and what do you want to give to Rotary? Those 2 questions provide you as the club members and other leaders with the answers needed for that new member to get the most from their membership. And anything that was not covered during the Rotary Information Hour session they attended can then be answered and disclosed and shared in that way. And if none of those ideas yet exist, that person is the perfect someone to envision it, create it, and put it into practice in your club. Also be sure to review the new member onboarding from the Zone website. And again, this is not an exhaustive list, but certainly something that can help get your creative juices flowing. All right, finally, we're talking about engagement and retention. So let's review. We've worked really hard to generate the leads. We figured out how we're going to attract the members, and now we have them onboarded. So it's time to get them engaged in what we do as Rotarians. Earlier, we found out what motivates new members and what they want to accomplish and assign them to a committee, perhaps. They have a buddy or mentor, and they understand what Rotary is and what Rotary does, but how do we get them engaged? There's lots of ways you can do that. One way is with check-ins. As a club leader, it's important to perform periodic check-ins with new members. In fact, in my club, we do this often over a meal, a breakfast or a lunch, or if it's preferred, a cocktail at the end of the day. But I must tell you that these check-ins do so much more than just provide an update. It's making the member feel more like a member of the tribe. It gets them so much more invested in doing things with the club. Finding more people to do these things with them, which is attraction, and inspires them to want to do more and even lead in the club. So please do not miss out on these check-ins as a valuable component of the member journey. And again, just to make it clear, as opposed to Rotary Club health checks, these are Rotary member health checks. Intentional, direct, and by their very nature, sincere. And remember the lesson about missing members we talked about in last month's webinar? Regularly take note of members who are not attending meetings, and absolutely make that "we missed you" call. Don't let members drift away. and maybe even avoid future shortcomings. Provide a reminder to ask a lot of questions of the new members during these check-ins, almost like an informal survey. You will learn a ton of great information, things you may have never thought of, new things to do in the club in general. In terms of communication, it is so vital that all members receive effective and concise communication about what's going on in the club and in the district. We want to be inviting with our communication and also not prejudge what we think someone may want or not want to hear. And finally, we know that the only form of payment we have in Rotary is recognition and thanks. Do this abundantly, and you will have members that will go to the ends of the world for your club. Praise them for positive outcomes and encourage them to do more of the same. And you'll see steps 8 through 10 of that document, other ideas that you can review as well that will give you ideas to do this. Keep in mind that our members invest their time, talent, and treasure into our clubs. We want to make sure that that investment is rewarding. So just as important as everything we've discussed, we have to perform meaningful service projects. Rotary is so much more than the weekly meetings with a speaker. These meetings might be the sizzle, but what really charges someone's battery is performing service. And after all, Rotary is a membership organization that performs service in its communities. And that number 10 on the top 10 intentional strategies is crucially important as a component into gaining and keeping our members. To start to conclude, look at the bottom of this document. We cannot hope that our membership grows. We cannot hope that our attrition slows. What we can do is perform intentional actions to make our membership perform beyond our wildest dreams. And we can all do this. To wrap up my part of this evening, I just want to thank you for allowing me to quickly provide an overview to the 4 pillars of membership success. And please know that it is just that, an overview. But in any event, these are all strategies and tactics that have been used, and they work. So finally, I leave you with this, a Paul Harris quote from 1935 that many of us have likely heard. If Rotary is to realize its proper destiny, it must be evolutionary at all times and revolutionary on occasions. And I believe that now is one of those occasions. So like Paul says, especially in this 250th year celebration of U.S. independence, let's continue the evolution and start a new revolution of membership growth. I also bring your attention to the logo in the background of our new Zoom map wallpaper. It says, as Larry and Yinka pointed out, 1.25 million members by 2030. To combine the thoughts that we've talked about so far, we can do this as we focus on using those intentional strategies of membership growth. And remember, again, growth is not simply about numbers. It is about creating want people to belong, contribute, and lead. Thank you for your time. Now I'd like to turn things over to my esteemed colleague, fellow MAP team member, Terry Weaver, for our monthly MSC tidbit. Terry, take it away.
Thank you, Sean. This month's Membership Success Center template includes a sneak preview of a totally new feature of the MSC, an AI-powered membership coach that is standing by to help you take the ideas you've heard tonight and turn them into an effective club membership plan. The fact is that ideas without a plan are just hopes, dreams, or wishes, and not likely to come true. Our tech team is adding the membership tidbit link to the chat. The Rotary Membership Coach is standing by to help you easily weave tonight's ideas and strategies into a complete, intentional plan that will ensure the growth of your club in 26, 27, and beyond. And the coach will help you with anything else you might need to more effectively grow your club. Just ask it a question. So do yourself a favor. Watch the video, get acquainted with the Rotary Membership Coach. I believe the coach will become your best friend for membership growth. And now, back to RI Director Marshall Butler.
Well, thank you, Sean, and thank you, Terry. I've heard that revolutionary quote quite a bit recently. I think that's some great advice. You both have given us a lot of practical information tonight, but I think the most important word that we heard was intentional. Membership growth does not happen because we put it in a strategic plan or we mention it at a board meeting or we create a new social post. It happens because we build a process and we follow it consistently. We identify the people who are missing from our clubs. We create opportunities for them to discover Rotary. We welcome them properly. We learn what they want to get from Rotary and what they want to give. And then we connect them with meaningful opportunities to serve. And when we do each of those things well, they each drive the next. Engaged members participate in service. Meaningful service gives us stories to share. These stories attract people who want to be a part of the impact. And those new members bring fresh ideas and new energy that make our club stronger. That is how we build momentum. But bringing someone into Rotary is not the finish line. In many ways, like I mentioned earlier, it's just the beginning. We have to make sure that every new member feels welcomed, valued, and needed. We have to give them something meaningful to do, and we have to check in before they begin to drift away. So as I close tonight, I want to challenge every club to choose one action from Sean's presentation and commit to it. Maybe it's scheduling your next Discover Rotary event. Maybe it's improving your onboarding process. Maybe it's assigning every new member a mentor. Or maybe it's just calling someone that you haven't seen recently and saying, hey, we missed you. Don't try to do everything tomorrow, but do something. Do it soon and do it intentionally. On the screen now are 3 key takeaways that you can use to get started right away. Our goal of 1.25 million members by 2030 will be achieved by one invitation, one welcome, one meaningful experience, and one club at a time. So Sean, thank you for sharing these practical strategies with us tonight. And thank you to everyone who joined us. Now let's take at least one of these ideas back to our clubs and put it into action. And now I'm going to hand it over to Jose Gonzalez for the Q&A session. Jose, it's all you, man.
Thank you, Marshall, for that wonderful wrap up on today's MAP program. I hope that everyone in attendance today took note of the wonderfully laid out 4 pillars for membership attraction success. And if for any reason anyone missed any of the details, now is your chance to ask a follow-up question to learn more. In fact, there's a number of questions that have already started to come in through the Q&A. So let's dive into our Q&A segment and hear the burning questions that you all have for our session speakers. And as a reminder, as we said throughout the entirety of the webinar, please utilize the Q&A section for this segment. Questions populated into the chat may be missed and not asked. So to get us started, we're going to invite all of our speakers back to the screen. I see that they're all populating now, and ask the questions that you all have already dropped in for us today. The first question on today is for our Rotary International Director, Marshall. So Marshall, we're going to invite you right back and ask, Marshall, of the 4 pillars mentioned today, is any one of them more important than the others?
Man, Jose, you put me right back on the hot seat. That's a tough question because, all 4 of them really do work together. But, if you made me choose one, I would probably say engagement. We can generate leads, we can attract new members, and we can do a great job of onboarding them. But if we don't get them involved in something right away, something meaningful, then once again, we've just got this revolving door. Engagement is where people feel like they belong. It's where they build relationships inside the club. It's where the club becomes their family. They find their place in the club and they experience what Rotary is all about. And, we know that engaged members don't stay, but they invite others to share in Rotary's story and to create more energy for the club. So all 4 pillars are important, but for me, engagement is what turns someone who joins Rotary into a Rotarian. They're not a member, they're a Rotarian.
Marshall, well said. I have to say that I too recall the day that I was inducted into my club, but then following that, the day I really became a Rotarian. And I think every single member has the same story they can share for themselves because they know what it's like when they finally started to engage and embrace all that is Rotary through their club. So thank you very much for that. Sean, you're up next, sir. I hope you're ready.
All right, bring it.
Sean, can you tell us more about a Rotary Information Hour? You mentioned this throughout your segment today. And how does it work in a club?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an accurate title, Rotary Information Hour, but to me, at least in our club, we call it Discover Rotary, like it was originally termed by Sandy down in 7770 so many years ago. And it's just that. It's about providing people with an opportunity to discover Rotary. You invite some of your members, as many that want to be there. You don't overwhelm yourself with so many prospects that you've got a room of of unworkability, if you will, because there has to be a certain structure to it. It's not death by PowerPoint, but there are things that you want to be able to get across in a way that people, absorb them. And, people learn in different ways. Some of them by visual learners, some of them by auditory learners. So you have to have that combination of things. I think it's not a long event, maybe 30, 45 minutes. It's best served not being during a club meeting, because while the club meetings are necessary and we get a lot accomplished to those, I don't think that's the way we want to try to initially attract people to Rotary. So while the structure is pretty broad, there are some limitations that you want to acknowledge. And then really, like I tried to explain when I was talking earlier, every club does it differently. It's got to meet the needs and the demographics, the flavor of your community. But somebody that lives rurally, I think that's a proper word, is not gonna do it the same way that someone that's more metropolitan might do it, because the people aren't the same, the needs aren't the same, the community needs aren't the same, and just overall things can be different. So I think you have to be mindful of your audience. I think you have to create the right size one, and I think you do what fits, and in a way that again allows people to discover Rotary, and you attract them, and you provide them with all the reasons why not only do they want to join, but they want to stay. And to do that, again, there's all kinds of sample scripts and PowerPoints and different, introductions and things you can use on the website. So
Fantastic, Sean. Thank you very much for that well in-depth response. I think our attendees today truly appreciate that. If I can add one little tidbit to that, if it's okay, these Rotary information hours, we often also refer to them as prospective member events, because we're engaging with people that are potentially going to join a club. They're a prospective member. I wanted to share for all the clubs in attendance today. If you talk to your district membership chair, there are funds available that Rotary International offers to district membership chairs to host these specific type of events. Discover Rotary Information Hours, prospective member events. So engage with your DMC and find out how you too can receive monetary support to host these Rotary Information Hours. So thank you for letting me add that in there, Sean. Terry, sir. Buddy, you've been waiting around patiently. Thank you so much, because there is a question here for you. In fact, quite a bit I see. People are interested to learn so much more about this AI tool. And one of the ways it was written out is, as a club member, how can this new tool actually help me? What does it do and how does it benefit me?
Well, think of it as an expert Rotary membership coach for your club and for yourself. Just open up the coach and say, what can I do in my club to promote membership growth? Stand back. You'll be surprised. The important part about that is it knows everything about your club. When you're in your club, it's focused on your club and your district. You ask a question like, how could my club be more effective at retaining members? After the coach explains to you that perhaps you have an attrition problem. Or perhaps the coach says, you're doing great on holding on to members. Your attrition rates are significantly below the district average. You need to think about attracting some more members. And you wouldn't be surprised if you ask the coach how to do that, and it says, how about a Rotary information hour regularly scheduled?
That's great, Terry. We have an additional one here of someone asking who specifically can benefit from this new AI membership tool. Are there any specific roles within the club that we'd recommend strongly utilize this tool?
Well, every single one, but specifically those that are directly responsible for membership. And that would be the membership chair. Perhaps you have a membership attractions co-chair, a sub-chair, membership retention, membership engagement, those types of things. Obviously, the club president and anybody in the president line, president-elect, anybody that is either has been or is aspiring to be a leader in your club. And frankly, should be hugely helpful for those still engaged, still interested past leaders, past presidents, past membership chairs, and so forth, past assistant governors. There's a lot there, and I want to point out that the magic of this thing is that it is an intelligent bot connected between your club's specific information and how your club works, and a sizable knowledge base of the best practices in growing Rotary membership.
Terry, thank you very much for answering that follow-up. And I'll share that I tested it myself. It works very well. And I was quite impressed. So thank you very much for the development of that new tool. That's going to be revolutionary for our organization and the members all around. Sean, can I bug you for one more question, sir, if that's okay?
Yeah, of course, and I'll try to give a shorter answer this time.
Well, you mentioned during your presentation RLI, Rotary Leadership Institute.
Yeah.
Where can someone go to learn more about it? How do they register for an upcoming learning course?
Yep. Well, it depends on where you are. In our zone pair, there are at least 4 different Rotary Leadership Institutes. Mainline has District 7305 and 7360. That website is just what you would think it would be, mainlinerli.org. Mid-Atlantic has the northernmost and the 14 below that. And then down in Zone 34 is shared between the Sunshine Division and the 4th one is Gulf Coast, 6960. I can put those email addresses in the chat, but that's where you could go to get more information about those.
You know what, Sean? It looks like our tech team is quite good because they just dropped in many of the links into the chat for us for all of our attendees.
Right on. Well, I hope I was right then if they got it straight from the source.
Spot on. Director Marshall, I got one here in reference to these webinars that you're hosting, you're leading for us. People are wondering, are these webinars recorded? Are they available for club officers to view at a later time?
Absolutely. And that's the goal, is to create evergreen resources that people can go back to and reference and use as resources in their club to share. So every single webinar that you watch as part of Rotary Zones 33 and 34, whether it's Public Image Foundation or membership, can all be found at rotaryzones3334.org. We've completely revamped that website. What we want to make it is a resource where you can find the information that you need so that you can help make your club successful. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. We call it rip off and duplicate. Go in, find things you weren't even looking for that might help your club grow. You don't have to start from scratch. Go to Rotary Zones 3334 to find the recordings. Plus, there's just a whole lot more on that website.
Fantastic. Glad to see that there's so many available tools and resources for our members. Thank you, sir. Terry, there's a question in reference to the 1.25 initiative for 2030. The question is specifically is how can we find district goals for 23 goals? I'm assuming they're referencing where can they go to find out what they should be setting as a realistic goal to help achieve that monumental 1.25 initiative?
Sure. Well, I think, and having served as the district governor, it occurred to me early in the game that my district goal was pretty much irrelevant to the clubs. I mean, what do you do? Divide it by 51 and try to figure out what the math is? The important thing is that our clubs grow. And you use the term moderate and consistent growth. By moderate, in the case of most clubs, say up to 100 members, a growth rate of somewhere between 5 and 10% is completely reasonable. And the coach will help you align that goal with where your club started out at the beginning of this year. So you just say, I want a membership goal of 5% growth. The coach will figure that out for you and also figure out how many members you are likely to lose this year based on your recent history of membership terminations, because it does tend to repeat itself unless something dramatically different happens in the club. So the coach will help you with all of that. But the point is, it's about the clubs growing. The district is just a roll-up of what happens in the clubs. And the important thing is, can your club turn in a 5 to 10% membership growth on a consistent, moderate basis?
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that response. There's one more question in here. I think it's the only one we have time for left, and that's in reference to the application process for a satellite club and the turnaround time for RI to approve. It's from Miss Kim, one of our newer district membership chairs. I wanted to share that if you email that application, if it's completed, to me directly, and I'll drop my email in the chat, me and my team can review and determine whether or not we're ready to process to ensure you have that new satellite club to support your club and your district. So thank you all very much for the Q&A segment today. I hope you all had fun for the segment in August. Tune in next month for another engaging Q&A segment. And for now, stay tuned for upcoming announcements from our good friend and wonderful individual with a stellar voice, past District Governor Andy Van Hook. Andy, take it away, sir.
Thank you, Jose. Your check is in the mail for all those kind compliments. Thank you all for being here today. And we know our webinars are packed with great insights, but we also recognize that sometimes the best ideas come from open dialogue. So we're doing a map lounge, a casual come as you are Zoom space to further the conversation. The Map Lounge isn't another presentation. It's an open opportunity to talk, share, and connect. Whether you have a question, a challenge, or an idea sparked by today's webinar, this is your place to bring it. Think of it like Rotary Fellowship meets a strategy session. So grab a cup of coffee and join us in the Map Lounge for meaningful, solution-driven discussion with other passionate Rotary leaders this Saturday, August the 15th at 10 a.m. Eastern. Next, is it fact? Is it fiction? Join us at the next webinar on September 14th, where our topic will be dispelling the myths of club development. Before our next webinar, watch your inbox for a quick email asking you to tell us what you think is fact, what might be fiction, and what you want clarified about club creation. Your responses will help shape the webinar and separate the myths from the realities and tackle the questions people are actually asking right now. And just a reminder, we're here to support you every step of the way. Got questions, ideas? Just scan the QR code on your screen. We'd love to hear from you. QR codes are magic because it takes you right to the place you want to be. So go ahead and scan it. You're not alone on this journey. We're here for you. Thanks for being with us on this month's MAP webinar. We look forward to seeing you again on the next one, September 14th. Have a great evening.